Buying a primary home has always been a part of the American dream. Buy a big fancy house with a white picket fence, right? But what if I told you that buying a primary home could be one of the worst financial decisions that you could make? In this video, I'm gonna compare two hypothetical scenarios, Bill the buyer and Russ the renter, and compare the two scenarios to give you an idea of which decision is better for you. So obviously, buying a primary home is both a financial and an emotional decision, and this video is mostly going to cover the financial impact of either option and not so much the emotional part. That's for you to decide. So with that said, let's dive into the very first scenario with Bill the buyer. The first thing I want to do is calculate what it costs Bill to own a home that he buys. So we can summarize the top 4 major expenses of home ownership using an acronym called PITI. And PITI stands for principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Now let's make some assumptions so that we can calculate Bill's PITI. Feel free to use the mortgage calculator that I linked in the description and plug in your own numbers. So the first assumption we're gonna make is that the purchase price of the home is $500,000. Assuming Bill is using the most popular type of loan, a 20% down with a term of 30 years, conventional loan at 6% interest rate, his principal and interest would look like the following: $2,398. Of course, you have to realize that a mortgage is comprised of both a principal component and an interest component. And at the beginning of your loan, most of your payment is going to be towards interest and only a very small portion is going to be going towards your principal. So for this example, after 1 year of ownership, Bill would have a principal paydown of $4,912. And at the same time, his interest payments alone would be $23,866. So the next letter in PITI is T for property tax. And so we'll assume a property tax rate of about 1.2% of the purchase price. That's basically what it is where I live. And so for a $500,000 property, that ends up being about $6,000 per year or about $500 per month. And last but not least, we have I for homeowners insurance, and that's gonna cost you, let's say, about $125 per month. So now Bill's total PITI is $3,023 per month. Now the one thing I want you guys to realize is this: of that PITI acronym, I, T, and I are all non-recoverable costs. And that basically means that if Bill were to ever sell his property, those are costs that he would never get back. Those are basically fees of home ownership. So I want to take this PITI and I want to fast forward 5 years. Obviously, one of the main benefits to buying your own home instead of renting is that you gain appreciation over time. So we're going to assume that his property is appreciating at a generous 5% per year for the next 5 years. That means at the end of 5 years, he will have made $125,000 in appreciation. Next, Bill would have paid down approximately $27,782 off his principal loan balance. So over those 5 years, Bill is able to build some equity in the form of appreciation and also principal paydown. But now let's talk about the fees or the non-recoverable costs of home ownership. His total interest paid will be $116,109. His property taxes are going to be roughly $30,000. His homeowner's insurance is going to be roughly $7,500. And we'll assume a 1% maintenance fee per year, so that's $15,000 for 5 years. Bill's total non-recoverable costs are going to be $168,609. Okay, I know that was a lot of numbers just now, but let's jump into scenario 2. Things are a little bit more simple. In Russ's scenario for renting a home, his monthly rent, let's just assume, is about $2,200 per month. And for utilities and all that kind of stuff, they're about the same for renting a home versus owning a home, so I'm not going to include those costs. So similar to scenario 1, let's do a 5-year fast forward with Russ's scenario. Assuming that Russ's rent grows for 4% each year for the next 5 years, his total non-recoverable costs are going to be $114,306. Okay, now that we've looked at both scenarios and the numbers regarding both scenarios, let's look at the pros and cons of each approach. First, we'll start with Bill's buying approach. The main pros to this approach is obviously the appreciation that you can get from holding and owning that property. The second benefit is that he gets to build equity when he pays down his principal. Now, if we shift over to the cons of Bill's approach, the number one thing would be that $100,000 down payment. And then obviously the second con is that every month, Bill's expenses are much higher than Russ is, because Russ is only paying $2,200 and Bill is paying closer to $3,100 per month. So that effectively means that it's harder for Bill to save money every single month because his monthly expenses are about $1,000 more than Russ. So that basically means that Bill is not going to be saving as much money every single month as Russ would. Now let's switch over to scenario 2 and talk about the pros and cons. The biggest benefit for Russ is that he did not have to put down $100,000 for a down payment. Instead, Russ has that $100,000 in the bank ready to invest at any time. The second benefit to renting is that you don't have that same homeowner's maintenance issues or headaches. And thirdly, because Russ is renting, he's actually able to save $1,000 more per month than Bill would. So effectively, over that 5-year span, the non-recoverable costs is much less with renting than it is with home ownership. Now, when we talk about the cons for Russ's approach, the number one thing is that he does not get appreciation or principal paydown. And I know I mentioned that we weren't going to be talking about emotional factors into this, but having a home is nice. You can renovate your own home and you can do whatever you want to that home. Whereas with renting, you can't really do that. So in summary, it all boils down to this. When you buy, you're going to be relatively shorter on cash because you are spending $1,000 more for your monthly payments. On top of that, you're paying $100,000 down to get this home. Now on the flip side, when you rent like Russ, you have a lot of cash in the bank because you are not making a huge down payment towards the house, but you don't get principal paydown or appreciation. And that brings me to the meat of today's video, which is the biggest factor to consider when deciding between renting or buying, and that is opportunity cost. The core of this debate really boils down to the answer of this question. Can Russ take that $100,000 of cash along with the $1,000 of monthly savings that he's getting and invest both of those things in order to beat Bill's appreciation and principal paydown? If Bill's home appreciates at a faster rate than expected and Russ's investments don't do so well, then perhaps Bill will win this debate. Now on the flip side, if Russ's investments have a better yield than expected, and let's say Bill's home doesn't appreciate as fast as he expects, then Russ would win this debate. So at the end of the day, if you want to know which is better, buying or renting, you need to answer these two questions. If you are Bill, how confident are you that your home is going to appreciate at the average appreciation rate, or if not better? And are you willing to spend more money than Russ in order to live in that home just so that you can get those appreciation gains? And if you're Russ, the main question you should be asking yourself is, what should I be investing in? The boring answer would be to just take your money and invest it into the S&P 500. But if you watch my videos, then you know that I invest primarily in real estate. I personally don't invest in the stock market myself, and if you want to know the exact reasons why, then you can check out this video right here. In that video, I basically talk about why real estate investing is a much superior investment to investing in the stock market. So anyways, you probably figured it out by now, but I am totally a Russ. My wife and I own about $2 million worth of rental real estate, and we actually rent our primary residence. We invest our extra savings into rental real estate where we can consistently get better returns than the stock market, especially when you consider the fact that we were saving over $80,000 in taxes in 2022 because of that rental property that we bought in 2022. And if you want to learn how we were able to achieve that, then you can check out this video right here. Pretty much anyone can do this. So in conclusion, you have to decide which route you want to take. There's no guarantee that either way is going to make more money, especially because we don't know how fast Bill's home is going to appreciate, and we don't know how well Russ's investments are going to do. At the end of the day, you need to decide who you want to be, what lifestyle you want to live, and where do you want to place your chips. Personally, I like being a Russ because I have more control over my investments and I'm not waiting on home appreciation, which is something that I cannot control. If you want to schedule a one-on-one strategy call with me, the link is in the description. But other than that, thank you guys for watching and see you guys in the next video.